Hi, this is a video that we've done for borrowers to be able to assess whether we can or cannot help them with their private mortgage needs. We're going to tell you a little bit about how private lending works. When we talk about how much we can get against a property, we're not talking necessarily dollar amount. We can do $1 million, $2 million, $3 million in mortgages. We're talking more about percentage. What is the loan to value against the property? Private lending, we can get 80, 85 is probably the high point of private lending. Definitely not 100%. So 80, 85%, and that depends on the property and the credit. Typical rates, we talk about first mortgages, are 7, 7.5, and maybe up to about 10%. So when we talk about private lending, it doesn't mean that it has to be just for people with bad credit. So we have private people that will lend in good situations and will lend at maybe 7, 7.5 if they like the property and the people have good credit. If they don't, that's where we're getting into the 9, 10% rate. This is on first mortgages. If we talk about seconds, the criteria is sort of the same. If you have good credit, somebody will do a second, maybe in the 9, 10% range. And if your credit is not good and really bad even, they will do up to 15. We do a lot at 12. It's sort of a mid-range. We do a lot of seconds at 12. So credit is one of the criteria with private lending. So will they do at any level of bad credit? The short answer is yes. But if they do, they will do it because there's a lot of equity in the property. If you have a combination of really bad credit and you have very little equity, then the answer would be no. So somebody has really bad credit, but they have equity in the property, a private lender will still lend money. And the worse your credit is, probably the loan to value becomes less. Somewhere where they expect where people will still be having problems making payments, they're going to be quite hesitant to do more than 70, 75% lending. They're going to want to stay probably in the 75% range. If the credit is fairly good, that's where we'll be able to move into the 80% lending for private lending. So when you're looking for a private mortgage, the process usually starts with a phone interview. So for instance, you'll call me, we'll talk about some of the generalities. Second stage would be where we'd want to look at an application. So if what we've talked about at the first part seems like we might be able to help you, so we'd do an application, a formal application, you would send it in, and where we can get some more detailed and precise information. We'll do a credit bureau. We'll get, basically some confirmation of some of the things, maybe your income, maybe some of the assets that you have. Then what we'll do is likely issue a commitment, if we have a private lender that's going to do the deal. And the commitment will have a few conditions. Probably the most major condition will be an appraisal. So then we'll have an appraisal ordered, and which the borrower usually will pay for. And if that comes in okay, we usually put an amount. This commitment is subject to a value of X, whatever that is. So let's assume it comes in at X, comes in at the right amount. Then the next step is we have a deal. We send instructions off to the lawyer. You would usually, as a borrower, normally you would have your own lawyer as well. We would send letters off to the lawyers, and then we would have the deal closed. So from start to finish, a private lender deal usually takes somewhere in the 10 to 15 day range. If it's something where it has to happen really fast, it can happen. It can still do it in 3 to 5 days. But the normal range is, about a 2-week period. Private lenders usually give commitments for just 2 to 5 days. Reason for that is they want to get their money out. They want to know, does somebody want this deal, yes or no? And if you don't want it, well, then they have other opportunities that they'd like to put the money out elsewhere. So for instance, if you do get a commitment and it lapses after the 3 or 4 days and it lapses, and let's say you need 2 weeks to think about it, doesn't mean that you can't come back after 2 weeks and either, I will call the private guy back, see if he's still willing to do the deal. If not, there's probably other private lenders. It doesn't mean they'll do the same rates and terms, but there may be other private lenders that will look at the deal as well. If you need more information, give me a call or send me an email. Take care.